Hey everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. It's a podcast where we talk about music and shit. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Joey. That's me.
And this week, the music and shit we're talking about is the 2013 album by Kaskade, Atmosphere. It's a very, very personal album to me. Really, anything that happened in 2013, I feel is very connected to me.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of an interesting year, personally, I guess, for me.
Oh shit, dude.
But that's for discussion another time. Maybe a little bit during this album discussion. But yeah, so I picked this album riding off the vibe of the Two Bears last week. It was it hit me in a good spot, and I was like, yeah, I could use some more of this in my life right now. So we went with Kaskade's Atmosphere, who was like a pretty popular EDM house producer kind of guy. Yeah, I don't know. I really like Kaskade's music. I like all of his albums. I don't think there's a song he has that I don't like, per se. And I wanted to share this album with Joey because, again, 2013 was a big year for me, personally, and this album came out that year, and it affected me in a very good way. And that's why I chose this one over his other albums. Suck a dick.
That's weird. That's totally weird that you say that. I mean, I guess it's not weird that you say that about 2013, but like, I feel the same way about like that era, 2013.
There were just so many good albums that year specifically, and maybe I feel like it's just because I had a personal connection to a lot of albums that year, but maybe it's just because there were a lot of good albums that year.
I think there were a lot of good albums, and something about that year just hit right. Like, I don't know, man, because that was like earlier whenever long time ago when I talked about the like year that me and Alyssa kind of spent apart. That was 2013, which
shit,
like
man.
the thing was there were a lot of like hard times, but then there was also a lot of like times that like now that it's becoming fall again, I look back on those times or like I feel the fall wind and it just hits me away and I'm like,
yeah,
there were parts of that year that were like pretty good or just like I don't know. It's just I'm totally with you about 2013 though.
Yeah, I feel that it's so like weird and specific. Like, and I think this album, I don't know when this album released in 2013, but it feels like a kind of a fall, borderline wintry album to me.
Yes.
And I don't know, it hits right. The weather's been getting cooler here, and I don't know, it feels good right now.
Oh my god, it does. Holy shit, I'm so excited.
But yeah, the album art for this album is very simple. It has 3 lines of text. It has on the top line the word Kaskade, which is his name. The guy's name is Ryan Radden, I think. And then split between 2 lines is the word atmosphere. So it says atmosphere, and there's kind of a bigger spacing between the letters to give some space, give it some atmosphere to breathe in.
Yeah.
And the backdrop on this album is just like space. It's got some blues and some pinks. Of just like some spacey nebulas and stuff.
Just like general etherealness or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, so not a whole lot going on. It's a very suitable album cover, I think, because it's a very chill, healthy album. And if you have anything else you want to say about this album, this is your last chance to do so, because we need to move on to the first track to get this thing started.
Well, I don't know if you meant to do that, Jeremy, but it just so happens that Last Chance is the name of the first song, so I think my last chance was before you started saying that.
Yeah, it was, but we're starting off strong in the segues. We usually don't segue into the first track. We do sometimes.
Yeah,
most of the time we don't. Or at least I don't think about it when I'm doing it. But we're talking about the first track. Last Chance is the name. Joey, hit me with those impressions.
Okay, so my first impressions. A lot of my notes this week, I'm just going to give you a heads up, are kind of just very like vague and generic and feeling based because that's what this music does. It immerses you in a feeling, and it immediately felt like I was overcoming something, like I was the protagonist in some sort of music video. Like I was driving after I had like everything was kind of okay, but I still wasn't certain. But I was just driving down a road somewhere where there was like leaves on the side of the road. Because this album, I immediately got a fall vibe from like, I think it first hit me like halfway through the song, but it was just like fall all the way. But plus, I didn't realize I had heard Project 46 before because they
Oh,
did
really?
stuff with Monster Cat back in the day, and I used to listen to a lot of their stuff. So there were
Well, heck
parts of
yeah.
it that were kind of familiar, which is maybe why I got brought back to that time because back around 2013 is when I was kind of listening to a lot of Monster Cat stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it just felt very good. I liked it. It immediately like resonated with me, and yeah, I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
good.
Hell yeah. I'm glad we're starting off strong in a good spot. I agree in that we kind of talked about it last week when we were trying to describe the music for the Two Bears, that like it's house music, it's electronic, it's a lot of synth driven stuff, it's a lot of layers, and it's hard to describe in words what that means. So I tried a little bit for the first half of the album to
Yeah,
kind of describe a lot of the sounds and stuff. So this one, it has some nice layered female vocals.
yeah,
That's kind of a Kaskade thing. He always features a lot of female vocalists, and they always have very like airy kind of sounding voices that I love. I mean, it's no surprise to anybody at this point that I like female vocalists. But yeah, it always hits really well. The song's got a pretty catchy main synth melody. It's got some kind of sprinkled in echoey water droplet effect kind of things. The main chords come in on piano, which is another thing that's on this album specifically. He uses a lot more piano than a lot
yeah,
of his other albums. The main melody comes in on like a different synth. Drums build in a very typical like festival house EDM kind of fashion. At some point, everything just cuts out, and there's some like spacey backing synth, and then just the vocals, which I love that kind of thing.
hmm
And then it kind of rebuilds itself with the piano chords and then the main synth and stuff. It's EDM music. It's house for the most part. A lot of these tracks are going to sound similar in my descriptions because that's the nature of the music and the nature of language not being able to describe sounds.
yeah, exactly. And that's something we had talked about last week. Like the music, especially, and we may be biased because we like this type of music, but this music kind of gets bigger than words, which I mean all music does, but like with so much of it being not lyric driven, like a lot of the lyrics are kind of like give a vague generic feeling, but
Right.
the music is really what kind of tells you, like guides your emotional journey through the song more than other types of music, I feel. And
Yeah.
I think yeah, that's just how it's made to be, so it is just really tough to kind of put that into words, but I'm
Yeah.
glad. hmm hmm
Looking back on it, it's impressive to me that we were able to have a full discussion on that One of Tricks Point Never album with no lyrics, because
yeah,
we weren't necessarily describing the music, but we were describing the journey that we went on while listening to the music, which I think was
yeah,
kind of cool and interesting to me. Whereas like this, I can't, like you said, you kind of got this imagery of being like a protagonist of a film or something, and everything's kind of going well, which is great. But I was focusing more on specifically defining things, and it didn't really work out too well for me.
see, that's kind of how I was because one, I don't know, I just couldn't other than just if I were to write like okay, and then the synth builds here, and then it
Yeah,
does this thing where it like arpeggiates whatever, and it's just like man, I
yeah. Nobody wants to listen to that.
yeah, I don't know, I might at some point, but I don't know. But I'm glad he said something about the festival sound because
Yeah,
I got that too. I don't know like enough about this kind of this scene specifically. Like it, I don't want that to sound derogatory. Like I know
no, it's
sometimes that
totally
can
derogatory, and it's earned. I think.
okay, but like I didn't because I liked it, but it also gave me that vibe of like a ton, like 40,000 people somewhere, all just being
Right.
like, yeah,
It's just music that you can just like be in a crowd and jump to,
yeah,
kind of a thing. There is some of that on this album. It's kind of split though. There's some more interesting songs that we'll talk to when we get there. But lyrically, the song again, like you said, it's not super complicated. It's pretty repetitive. It I got two different vibes from this album lyrically. Uh, there's this generic kind of vibe to it where it seems like the singer's on the edge of heartbreak, where she's begging her partner not to leave because she's not sure she can handle a breakup right now.
yeah,
But I also feel like this album's a bit more personal for Kaskade, for Ryan himself, And if this song was written by Ryan or from his perspective, it could be actually from his wife's perspective, where she's begging him not to go out on tour because she knows she's going to miss him, kind of a thing. And I
Yeah.
feel like that touring theme is kind of a thread through a lot of the songs on this album, but I'm not 100% certain if he did like the lyric writing or if he had kind of this theme of him going out and leaving people as his like idea for the album.
I think you're right, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
But for now, I mean, you might be asking, why is this about? Why do we think this is about touring? But you know what we say? Why? Ask why.
Well, because they're trying to they want to know the answer. Oh, you mean like track number 2?
Yeah, like
Why
track
ask
number two.
why? Yeah, this one's got a little bit of a guitar melody kind of
Mhm.
going under the synths. Again, more airy female vocals. I love that shit.
Oh yeah.
That's just like the especially for electronic music. It gets me. It feels nice. It's got some driving like hi hat kind of starting it off. It's got a
Mhm.
synth bass for the chord progression kind of thing. This is like the epitome of what I think a Kaskade song sounds like. It's kind of that palette of his like signature sounds and stuff like that, which again could seem very generic to a lot of people because that's kind of the style of it. But I don't know. I really like the synths in this one. It feels good. He gets me with his sounds sometimes.
Man, okay, so like if this is the textbook epitome Cascade sound, I'm going to love the rest of his music because I love this song. Like
Hell
holy
yeah.
shit. This just the chorus, it makes me feel like the wind is at my back. There's like leaves hitting me in the face from they're falling out of trees. It's just like a crisp fall evening and the harmony whenever she says why ask why and don't say
Yeah.
no, like so she sings like why ask like I'm gonna sing it,
Yeah.
so
Do it.
just it's like why ask why and then it like repeats and it goes like higher.
Ask why.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good.
It
It's
is.
so good. Oh my god, sorry everybody out there who had to hear us sing, but you're welcome
They love
also.
it. They love it and they know it.
Oh man, it's just like it's magical. I will say that word. It's a magical.
It is, and it's like this album is very like I don't want to say spiritual, but kind of like mystical and kind of it's atmosphere, right?
Yeah,
And a lot of these like themes of just like etherealness and like space and how it all relates to a human kind of like sinks into me, at least through the music and some of the lyrics. That's kind of the vibe that I get from the album.
definitely.
Um, the song, assuming again that it was kind of written by Ryan or from his perspective, it seems like it's again about him going out on tour, but this time it's his perspective, and he's not really sure that he wants to leave his family, and he's saying, "Look, you can come with me," because that's the whole song is like, "Why ask why?" Like, I'm going out. You can go with me. You know I have to go,
Yeah,
but if you choose to stay here instead, give me love for now. Give me one for the road before I go. That's kind of the chorus of the song.
yeah, yeah. And oh man, oh man, it's
Which
just
again, it could be more generic and it's just about like someone that's like leaving to pursue a career somewhere. But I get a feeling throughout the rest of the album that it's more personal to him.
I definitely agree. I feel like it has to be because
I will say this album is very personal to him for a reason that I'll get to later.
oh okay,
But I think the context and of the lyrics and stuff is also more personal than the specific instance that I'm referring to later.
yeah. Well, um, I I don't know how to segue into the next song
Yeah,
because I don't know.
there are going to
So
be three points in this album that we're not going to have good segues for.
yeah. So hey, what's new, right? Because we don't have good yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's fine. Track number 3 is MIA to LAS, which is the airport codes for Miami and Las Vegas.
Las
Like
Vegas.
he's getting on a flight from Miami to Las Vegas. I call them airport tracks.
Okay, I called them flight tracks or
Sure.
or like I don't know. So I notate like I put flight
Travel
plans,
tracks.
travel
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah. There are three of those on the album. They're all instrumentals, and they all kind of have this different feeling. Which I don't know if he wrote them in airports or on planes, or if he was just trying to capture how he was feeling. Because again, if he's going out on tour, there are three of these like specific airport to airport connections, which would make sense if he's flying all over the U.S. to like play shows on a tour kind of a thing.
Yeah, but man, this song gets funky. Like
It
with
does.
with the guitar, there's like it's not. It sounds like a synth that's made to sound like a marimba, and
Right.
then there's like a funk guitar going on. It's just something about it feels like European funk or like I don't know. There's been some stuff that I'm listening to lately that's like Japanese funk from the 80s, and it's
Dude,
kind of
what a
gave me
strange and obscure thing to be
it.
bragging about, Joey.
No, it like, but it sounds similar, and I think you would like it. But
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sure I would. I'm just thinking from the viewer's perspective. He's like, man, this guy's listening to like Japanese '80s funk. Like, what is going through these people's minds as they're listening to us describe what we've listened to?
well, that's what you do when you like music. You just listen to stuff, and you
Yeah, that's the whole point of this podcast. Is we're
yeah,
trying to discover new things and share things that we've discovered on our own, and kind of bond over that.
exactly. And
And
it's
now we're
great.
bonding with the listeners too, even though we don't know you.
Yeah, but maybe we will someday. I don't know.
Yeah, but right now, no one knows who we are.
No one at all, except for our listeners, I guess, because we introduce ourselves.
Well, I mean, I think track four maybe knows who we are.
Yeah, track four. But track four is no one knows who we are. By the way, in case you
Oh,
didn't,
is it?
in case they didn't catch that, because I mean I'm looking at the track list right now.
Are you cheating? Do you have a cheat sheet pulled up where you're not just like ad libbing all of these conversations?
No, I'm not. In fact, no, I was about to say I didn't listen to the album, but I don't want to seem I don't want to seem. I don't want to even put that thought in people's heads because I did listen to this album several
Yeah.
times. But Lights, man, Lights is singing.
Lights.
Oh my
I
god.
fucking love the song. This is
Oh,
one of like two really big songs on this album for me. There's actually three that I really like a lot, but there's one that I like a whole lot for that kind of personal 2013 year album stuff,
mhm.
and then there are two tracks that I like just because they sound fucking great, and this is one of them.
Yeah. This one, it really is just an amazing track. Like I hadn't listened. There's so many like blasts from the past, like the Project 46 at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
Lights. I can't remember the last time I listened to Lights. She was one of
Yeah.
the first like female musicians that I like felt I could pretty easily get into. Like I didn't have to tell myself like, no, you need to actually get this a shot. Like it just happened.
Right.
And but she's just good. She's just real
She
good.
is. She has a beautiful voice,
She
and she
does.
has she it suits this music in this album, and it's just it's so good. I love this track so much. It's got it kind of starts with some simple piano intro and like a droning sound kind of going underneath. Her vocals come in, and then it starts building these cellos and the string section in the
Oh
chorus,
yeah.
and God, it's so beautiful. Beautiful is like the only word I can use to describe this song because it just perfectly fits. And then like after the chorus, it takes her vocals and like samples it a bit and
Hmm.
loops a sample of her vocals that kind of fade out as this full-on orchestral string section comes in, and it's just it's fucking good.
That's that good shit, man.
Yeah, it's fucking beautiful. I love the song so much.
Yeah, and I I think that this song also like not to just skip ahead into the lyrics, but I think that the
No, go
lyrics
for
to
it.
this song also kind of go with the theme of it's personal to him. Like he's from him leaving because I mean, there's just it seems like he's talking about like the like the harder times, or she's talking about the harder times in a relationship, or just like the things that they've done together, the all the stuff that they've gone through. Like maybe he since he's out on tour now, they're thinking like we've been through this before, or
Right.
we've been through other things. Like we can do this type deal.
Yeah, there are again. I kind of split this into two different segments. There's the personal segment, of me analyzing it from his perspective, which again could be him saying how he's proud of everything that they've accomplished, now everything that he's accomplished, and he's been able to create this world, this Porter Robinson's world kind of a thing. But there's also the sentiment of being completely anonymous that didn't fully jive with it being super personal, because he's a big celebrity, but it could be justified in that he's out in the world somewhere, maybe on tour or on vacation, and he's just kind of reveling in the fact that he's able to walk into a grocery store or something and nobody like sees him as Kaskade. They don't really know who he is, because yeah, he's famous, but he's like an EDM musician. His face isn't everywhere, and only people that know him will know him, kind of a thing. So maybe he's kind of enjoying the fact that he's anonymous compared to bigger celebrities or something like that.
Yeah, and that's got to feel good from his perspective, man. Like, I can only imagine.
He's such a like chill and like down to earth dude. He's a Mormon, not that has anything to do with it, but as we'll talk about later in the album, he feels that he's kind of compelled to be a good influence on people.
Yeah,
and he's a very like wholesome dude. So like I think he's aware and humble of his anonymity and his fame and stuff like that.
Well, good on him, man. Good on you, Ryan. I don't know your last name.
I think it's Radden.
Radden?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's Raddon.
Well, whatever your last name is, you make good music, and if you're a good role model, rock on, man.
Yeah. Some people, they go out there and party, and they go to clubs and dance themselves silly. They get on drugs. They get on alcohols. They do the alcohols. Other people, they just want to get out there and feel the night.
Yeah, they're just out there feeling the night. And I mean, those people on drugs and alcohols, they're feeling the night in a completely different way.
Yeah.
But the guys that don't, they're feeling the night the right way.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say right or wrong.
I guess that's true. Because
the safer way, perhaps.
The better role model way. How about that?
And also the track 5 way.
Yeah, definitely the track 5 way.
Track 5 is Feeling the Night. This one, it starts with some soft synth keys. There's like a high-pitched, whiny, boopy synth that comes in matching the melody.
Oh, yeah.
For it. It's got more airy female vocals on it. This one has Becky Jean Williams, which I've not heard of before. And I haven't sought her out afterwards. But I love all of the female vocalists he features on his albums. There's not one that I've disliked.
Yeah.
But it kind of has this classic EDM build-up towards the drop or whatever. You can't see it. I did air quotes for the drop, but he again cuts a sample of her vocals and loops it during the build up or whatever. I like the kind of choppy feeling of some of the elements leading up in the song, and then the chorus section comes in and it's big like EDM pop music stuff, and then after it ends, it kind of all goes out. And then there's like a distant kind of sounding synth that fades in as everything kind of comes back up to pace. But I thought it was interesting for the second chorus. I guess it's a chorus. It's kind of hard to segregate sections of lyrics and sections of music in this kind of a thing. But the vocals come back in, and it seems like it's earlier than I would normally expect it. Boom, the whole drop happens, the full beat's there, and the chorus is back in your ear. It's very like clubbing stuff.
Definitely. And now that you've actually described the technical parts of the song, how'd
you feel about it?
Okay, so this song, like that cool high-pitched synth thing at the beginning with the beeps and boops, for some reason, I got the vibe that it was trying to run away from me or like lead me somewhere, and I was supposed to follow it. And then whenever the drop happened, that's whenever we got there. But something about it seemed like it was running away.
It was your spirit animal leading you to a wonderful utopia of banging EDM music.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Like, I'm not gonna say the song's like my favorite or it's one of my top 5 or whatever, but I do like it and I got a feel from it, so that's cool.
Hell yeah. It's good. I like all the tracks on this album, to be clear.
Yeah.
I know again, kind of like what you said, we there's this stigma of festival EDM and what that means, and having that kind of almost generic sound to it. But it's not all bad. I enjoy it in small doses. I don't know if I would go to a festival. I would love to go see Kaskade live. Yeah. Just to be clear, like especially because of some of his other stuff, which I'll talk to you specifically, Joey, afterwards about. But yeah, I don't know. It's good, but it's not great. It's not what I enjoy in electronic music. It's just kind of like big festival, everyone's jumping around kind of a thing.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing about this album. There was like a mix between the two.
Right.
Like,
This is kind of him. I don't want to say he's sold out because he's definitely. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would sell out. But this is kind of a transition for him, both personally and musically, to this more marketable music, I suppose. Where
yeah,
his older stuff, granted, I guess his older stuff was also pretty big and pretty popular and stuff, but this is getting more towards that festival. I guess he realized that he wanted to be playing festivals and didn't have a whole lot of that kind of music that
yeah.
he would want, so he kind of bumps it up a
I mean, I
notch in
don't,
this album.
I don't blame him. I'm sure those festivals are fun if that's
Oh
what you're
yeah, for
into.
sure. I would probably go to. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would go to a quote unquote EDM festival like Ultra or something, but I would love to go to like a dubstep festival or something.
Yeah,
Anyways, feeling the night. The lyrics again is kind of simple. It's very looped. There's not a whole lot of lyrical content there. The only lyrics in the song, there's four lines it kind of repeats. It says one heart and all I really one move and I'm feeling nothing could be more right. I sure love feeling the night, kind of a thing. It's a typical like clubbing, have fun kind of thing. I'm not sure how that fits into my story of him going on tour,
yeah,
but maybe this is just the high of being back on tour, and he's just like, yeah, I'm fucking making all these people dance. I'm feeling it. It feels good to watch everyone have fun.
yeah. And I mean, like, I think that's what it's about. But for me, whenever I heard it, this song made me picture myself like out at night alone, like walking, not necessarily through the woods, but just around, like around
Yeah,
the area where we live. There's a
yeah.
lot of trees, but I mean, like I'll walk along the road or something, maybe, and just
I've actually walked around the town that I live in at night when it's like pitch black outside with this album playing.
really,
So I can literally like see an example of that happening.
yeah, yeah, okay, because it made me picture a specific night in my head where I walked from my house to the McDonald's that was near my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I would have known about this album then, because I would have been listening to it.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can't get some McDonald's, but we can find something else to take your mind off of the fact that you didn't have that experience or haven't had that experience yet. There's still time.
Yeah, in fact, I'm probably going to have that experience at some point, so it'll take my mind off the fact that I can't have it yet. And it'll
Yes.
also take my mind onto track number 6.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Track number 6 to take your mind off, but
Ooh.
you said take your mind on. This song, holy shit! This is the second of those songs I just fucking love. This song
Okay.
is so good.
Yes, I agree. I'm with you. I actually put stars next to the titles in my notes this week, so I like made sure to be like, okay, instantly as soon as I read it, I know this is one of them.
Yeah,
This
I
is
do that
one of
too, actually. But yeah, this one it's oh god, I love it. I can't stress how much I love it. But it's got some kind of like bumpy synths that
them.
sound kind of like a train horn, but softer, not nearly as aggressive,
Yeah.
kind of pulsing through it. Slowly. It's not like aggressive like I made it sound, but then there's like a kick that comes in, and then the full beat and some vibey ass keys come in,
Hell
and
yeah.
the whole song, in my opinion, is just a platform for the very awesome and dope vibraphone soloing that goes throughout the
Yes.
track. It's so
Yes.
good.
Oh my god, it's so good. Uh I this was another one that I like had to write a full like I instantly got put into a place in my
A
mind.
scene.
Yeah, a
Tell us
scene.
what's happening in the scene.
So I'm in the lobby of a nice hotel and I think I'm wearing like a big smoker's jacket and that's kind of how I pictured it.
Sure.
And somehow like the music itself is kind of like emanating out of me. Like I can hear it. I'm not wearing headphones, but the music I'm just
It's
hearing.
like your theme music.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, pretty much. And like so just like the music is floating out in the air and everybody else can like feel it. They can't necessarily hear it, but like it's whatever is happening in the music, it's like emanating out to the rest of the room and that the vibraphone thing is kind of just like leading me, like it's a hand that has taken my hand and is leading me to like whatever good times await in this hotel lobby, and everybody else is kind of just like hanging out, like there'd be maybe somebody crooning off in the side, and it's like a jazz lounge or something, and I'm just like
Yeah,
walking on a marble floor somewhere.
man, I love it. I love that you had that experience, and I love that you love this track. This one actually has a male vocalist, which isn't something that is super common in his music. But I don't know. It suits. It's very simple lyrically. He just says, "Take your mind off. Let me take your mind off it," kind of thing. Which it does. Like this
Yeah,
song, whenever I'm like upset or dwelling on things that I'm just thinking that I'm overthinking, and I know I am, I'll put the song on. The song just like it chills me the fuck out, and I love
hell yeah. See, I'm so glad we could both have a good experience with this song. That's so nice.
it. Hell yeah. I'm glad that it is your favorite. I kind of figured it was. I know we've talked a lot, maybe too much in the past about vibraphones on albums, but
But they're
yeah,
good.
they're good, and this song has a lot of it, and that makes this song good.
Yeah.
So fuck
Oh
you if you
man.
don't like vibraphones.
Yeah, exactly. That I will not talk bad about that many people, but if you don't like vibraphones,
I
fuck
will
you.
talk bad about you. Absolutely. Track number 7 is another one that we it's a travel track, an airport, a flight plan track, as you put it.
Yeah.
It is LAX to JFK, which is Los Angeles to New York City in New York. It's got kind of like some deep sounding plucky strings. It's got a crisp bass to it. It's got some echoey ass synth fill kind of leading into this lower synth melody. It's really hard to describe at this point. I put in my notes. It's really hard to describe these instrumental tracks. Just go listen to the album,
Yeah.
and then the next bullet under that is just blomp because it's got these. It's kind of like a synth horn kind of thing going on at some
Yeah.
points in the album that give it a blompy feel
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, there's a part in this track where it gets the way I wrote it is crunchy as fuck. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know how else to describe it, but it's I don't know. Yeah, it has those ominous strings kind of starting off, and then out of nowhere, it's just like I don't know if that's compression. I don't know anything about making music electronically, so I don't.
right.
I can't, from a technical standpoint, other than crunchy or blomp, say what's happening.
This album is such a blomp. My new favorite descriptor for an album. But yeah, it's good. Go listen to the album and
Yeah,
you'll understand what we're talking about. We can't really describe these tracks too well.
man, great podcast, guys. Go listen to the album. It's great. I can't describe it, but it's great.
I mean, the whole point of this album or podcast is that people are supposed to be listening with us anyway.
That's
So
true.
if you've listened to this album, thank you for listening
Yeah,
to this album.
definitely.
But you understand what we're talking about.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And if not, then go check out the album Atmosphere.
Yeah. And check out the next track, Atmosphere,
It's
as
the
well.
title track. This is the song that I was referring to earlier. This is actually the first time Ryan has sang on one of his own tracks or any track, as far as I'm aware. So this album was kind of big for him personally for that reason, and that he had never sung before, and he fucking kills it. I think.
Yeah, he does.
It starts with the strong, bright piano chords. Again, he uses a lot of piano on this album. His voice comes in, and he's from Chicago. I don't know where he lives, but he has kind of this. He has a slight accent that you can kind of pick up on with it in some sections, but I think it fits perfectly. I think he needs to sing more, and he sang more on the album after this, I think, as well on another track. But this was kind of a turning point for him. It's kind of a big deal for him to finally put his voice on an album. There's some windy sounding build up effects for a lot of this track. The kick and the backing synths come in for the first lyrical chorus. I denote lyrical chorus and musical chorus because, again, with electronic music, it's kind of hard to chop things up like that.
Yeah.
And it's got kind of a clappy sounding snare building up for the musical chorus, which it's an upbeat and dancey kind of EDM festival thing. Again, the second verse reverts just back to the piano chords for sustenance, but also it keeps some of the drums and some of the quiet droning synths and stuff underneath. So it's not like a full reset, but I don't know. It's a good track. Again, It's kind of like EDM festival-y in some aspects. but I like it strictly for like the fact that he finally like decided to put his own voice to it.
Yeah, I think that's super cool because he does have a great voice. Like I even wrote down as well, like if because I didn't know if this was his voice, I just didn't know if there was like an uncredited singer. But I
Right.
put if this is his voice, he needs to sing more because it's just awesome.
Hell yeah. I'm
And
sure he'd be flattered to hear that.
yeah, some rando out there saying he has a good voice,
Well, I
definitely.
mean, it's he makes the music for the fans, right?
I
So
guess that's
if a
true.
fan is saying that it's a good voice and you want to hear more of it, then it's a good thing.
Yeah, and so like lyrically, I like the way he's putting it as well because I don't know. He says all his life he's been a star holding a light up in the dark. Like I like the imagery of a star, not how you hear it in a lot of other songs where it's like
Right.
you're a star, like you're a star,
A
you're great, you're what?
celebrity.
Yeah, he's like he's a star out in the loneliness of space. He is an entity. Like stars are forever away from other things. They're out there in space, being pulled by gravity, like affected by other outside forces constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to keep clear. I don't know specifically whose atmosphere he's trying to stay clear of, but I
Yeah.
know it sounds like he's trying to like kind of just do his own thing or not be too heavily affected by maybe a specific other person or maybe just a group of people.
Yeah. So my interpretation of this, and that's kind of I mentioned it earlier, where he I think this song to me at least is about his kind of self-imposed obligation to remain an upright and honest role model while DJing, since a lot of the EDM scene has this kind of big stigma of using drugs like MDMA and stuff and alcohol
Mm-hmm.
and being high while listening to music. Which don't get me wrong, if that's your thing, like go for it, do it responsibly, hopefully, but like he is very much a straight edge kind of guy,
Yeah.
and I think this was him kind of saying like I want to be this kind of beacon in the darkness, the shining light amidst the sea of bad influences, so that people that aren't into drugs or aren't into alcohol can still be a part of it or still vibe with it or still like create their own music even without thinking, oh well, I don't want to become a DJ because then I'm just going to get hooked on a lot of drugs or kind of a thing.
Yeah. I like that message because I don't know, like straight edge is fine, but just whatever can attract like get more people out there to try. If there's more musicians, there's going to be more good music. So
100%.
whenever there's people like him giving more people an in, because that totally is a huge stigma, and I have personally known people who didn't like were averse to this type of music because they're like, oh, that's just the rave and party crowd. Like, don't you see all those
Right.
people with their glow sticks, whatever, doing all this? You can only listen to that music if you're rolling, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're high in a
It's
club somewhere.
yeah, but and then none of them went on to be a famous DJ, but I bet at least one of them could have.
Well, there you go. You should talk to them, tell them to clean their act up, and I guess they already had a clean act. Tell them that they can retain their clean act. Give them this album. Buy them this album. I guess I don't fucking know. But if you're listening and you're worried about that, don't be worried about it. Just fucking do it. Make
Yeah,
friends with Kaskade at the very least, and I'm sure he'll talk to you maybe after
yeah.
you're famous.
And
I
then
feel like it's I don't want you to like email him and be like, hey, look, I'm a clean DJ coming up. You need to give me money. but but I guarantee that he's the kind of guy that you can look up
yeah,
to kind of to give yourself confidence that you can do it.
and I bet you can. And if you don't, I mean, really, all that's going to happen is we're going to be missing you. We're going to
That's
be
true.
we're going to be missing you, missing your unmade music, your
Yeah,
potential.
your music could potentially be on this podcast someday.
Wouldn't that be some shit?
Yeah, if you're listening to this at some point in the future and you know somebody or you are somebody whose album we review, like fucking let us know because that's cool as shit. But
Yeah.
also, track number 9 is Missing You. I didn't miss the segue,
Woo.
but I kind of rambled on after he made the segue.
It was a good point though,
Yeah,
because that would
I
be
was
super
in
cool.
it. It would be. That'd be dope as hell if someone was like a fan and then they made music and they got famous and we reviewed their music and they're like, wait, these guys are doing my album. That's fucking cool. Maybe we could have you guest on your own album episode. That'd be even cooler.
Yeah, but then No, you know what? We'd keep our integrity. I was about to say maybe we'd have to like lighten. Not that we're any really harsh on anybody except for you on the Hella album. But other than that,
look, if Zach Hill was on the podcast, I would still give him shit for it.
good.
There's no compromising my opinions here.
Good. That's just what I wanted to make sure of.
Track number 9, Missing You. It's got some very spacey synths. It's got like an echoey, simple, slow drum beat. It's very spacey. Like this whole track is kind of giving a spacey vibe to me. It's got some female vocals that are again airy and light, kind of a thing. I really like the kind of breakdown or the drop in this track.
Yeah,
it's got some like groovy bass and some muted synthy sound. It kind of feels like a Deadmau5 track at some points, which is not a bad thing at all.
I think it's a good thing, a very good thing. I like Deadmau5, but I liked this track because, like in that breakdown, a lot of the breakdowns we've heard, or just kind of where the song gets bigger on this album, have been the more festival type stuff, and this one, it kind of gets that energy, but without the festival type sound. I feel like it gets big, but it still keeps the dark, spacey synth type feel that started out the track, which is awesome.
Yeah, 100%. It's got a nice like chill feel to it. It's very like groovy without being loud and obnoxious about it, like a lot of festival EDM stuff is. And even some songs on this album, you could argue that like some of the drops and stuff are very like obnoxious or loud for no reason. But this one kind of retains it because he knows what he's doing. He knows how to make music without that kind of gimmick, and this kind of proves it.
And I would imagine some of his older music probably does as well if this was the transition album.
For sure. You should definitely check out a lot of his older stuff, and we'll talk about that afterwards.
But lyric-wise, I think this definitely at least adds to the thought that this is a personal story about, like, maybe him leaving on tour or something. Just because it's about missing somebody. Obviously, the title is Missing You, but it's about, like, he's talking about he's seen their eyes in 1,000 people, or he's seeing them, that person, everywhere he goes, in the face of a bunch of people everywhere, and kind of just, I don't know, wondering if that other person misses you, how you're feeling for them as well.
Yeah, this one, it was harder for me to say that it was extremely personal to him, because, and while it may be because of the points you've just made, it's also kind of got this tinge of like a breakup kind of a thing going on, where it seems like from the singer's perspective, they've broken up. This is kind of the fallout where the singer's realizing that she made a mistake and leaving her partner, and is having a hard time meeting other people because they all remind her of that person, and she wants to come back because obviously she's missing that person. She still loves them, kind of a deal. So it's kind of got the generic application of having a breakup and wanting to come back to somebody, but also, like you said, there's a claim that can be made about it being his personal life, where he's left his wife and is going around the country touring.
Maybe. I'm probably wrong.
Well, if you're wrong, I'll never know, and if you're right, I'll also never know. that's just something that I'll have to something.
So yes, something. Whenever you can't think of anything else, something. Which is also the name of the next track.
Yes.
Something.
Something, featuring Zip Zip Through the Night, which I need to listen to more of their music. I think he's done a couple tracks with them at this point. But this song is the one song that is specific to the 2013 mindset of me. And it kind of like, I don't know, again, 2013 was kind of a big year for me in both good and bad ways. I had a pretty rough breakup during this period, and this album kind of stuck out to me, and the song specifically kind of captured how I was feeling, and it still kind of bums me out every time I hear it, and it kind of transports me back to that time. But it's a very, like, I guess we can talk about the lyrics afterwards, because why would I change the layout of what we've been doing this entire time? It's got a guitar for the main melody. It's got some layered male vocals that are very echoey. Kind of a staple throughout this album. There's a lot of echo and reverb and stuff.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a similar drum percussion to a lot of the songs, where it'll just start with like the hi-hat and then it'll add in some of the other stuff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing at all. It just makes it easier for me to describe it if I've described it 100 times before. It's got like a synth bass, and the distorted vocals in like this bridge section or this mid section give it a kind of a dissociating feeling that I really like. And then after that kind of drops off, the guitar gets like super echoey for a bit, and then it just kind of like repeats itself.
Yeah, I got like a Midwest kind of rock vibe from at least the beginning of it, which, I mean, it's a style of music that I like, and whenever it's mixed in with EDM or whatever, like, I guess this song, it's specifically, like, whenever I say EDM, I typically think of, like, the festival-y stuff.
Right.
But it's mixed with Kaskade style, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Better. But there's parts of it that remind me of, like, with his voice, it almost reminds me of, like, what I wish Muse was.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see that.
I hate to say that because, I mean, Muse is like, they're a cool band, but I just like,
yeah,
I've never really super vibed with a lot of. There's some of their songs that I like, but we're not talking about Muse. What am I doing?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, we compare a lot of artists, and
Yeah.
I think that was a fair comparison. But yeah, lyrically, it's a simple and honest song about a breakup. That it seems. The song opens with him saying, "I want to be with you. I would do anything within reason for you," which is a very rational way to look at things.
Yeah, seriously.
Opposing the typical breakup song where they're just like, "I would do literally anything for you." This guy's like, "No, I'll do anything within reason for you." And to reinforce that kind of rational thinking, the chorus, I guess, says, "I don't need you. I just want you." And I think, in addition to the singer's point of view, where he's having kind of, he still has feelings for this person, but he's understanding that he can live without them.
Yeah.
He's kind of implying that maybe the other person also feels the same when he says, like, "You're wishing I would be wrong because your heart beats something something." And he also says, "When you hear this, you'll know what you know," kind of implying that, like, it's going to affect the person that he wrote the song for in a similar way.
Man, I love the rationality.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something
it's refreshing.
Yeah, it's very refreshing because that's half the reason that I don't listen to more poppier kind of breakup music, is because it seems very over dramatized, which, I mean, breakups, like, they can be.
They're dramatic for sure.
But whenever
we listened to an album called Melodrama that was literally like about that. So,
but like, it's just it's so nice to hear somebody being rational, because after the fact, whenever you look back, that's what you want to look back and be like, I was that person. Like, that's what you aspire to have.
I wasn't some crazy person that was literally willing to chop off an arm to, like, be with someone.
Yeah.
Because that's not healthy. If you actually feel that way about someone, don't. Stop it. Cut it out. Go find a fucking therapist or something, because that's not cool.
And definitely don't chop off your arm, because
definitely don't chop off your arm.
Because you need that. Like,
well, it needs a strong word, but it's very useful to have both arms.
I don't know. I'd say my arm is required. Like,
there are people that don't have arms and they live fine.
I mean, I guess that's true. I guess it's more. I guess half of the issue is having something and then having it taken away. Maybe if I was accustomed to not having it, it wouldn't be as big of an issue as I think it would be. But
yeah, Joey, you're being the dramatic person that you were complaining about when you're referring to your arm, where you're saying, I literally couldn't live without my other arm.
I guess I could, but
you could.
It would be very hard to play video games, and that's
an issue. You don't need it. You just want it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the message of the song.
Maybe I should just hop on a plane from SFO to ORD.
Yeah, track number 11, SFO to ORD, which is San Francisco to Chicago.
What? ORD?
Yeah, it's the Chicago O'Hare airport or whatever. I don't know what the ORD rationale is, but it's Chicago, which is his home. Which I don't know if he lives there. That's where he was born and raised, and that's why he has this kind of what is called Chicago house vibe. And I think the music in this track kind of reflects that that homecoming kind of a thing.
It
It's got
definitely
a
does.
very chill and spacey vibe on it, and I'm not gonna spend time explaining the different sounds on the different boops and the drums and stuff. Just listen to the fucking album.
Yeah. This one, I did get a specific feeling though. I will really quickly go over it.
No, take as much time as you want. I was just saying I'm not going to go into detail describing the sounds of it because, like the other ones, it's hard to describe.
I didn't get a full on scene like I did in the other one, but this one, it's kind of a similar vibe in the sense that like I got the picture that I would be on like somewhere fancy and like Frank Sinatra's singing. Like parts of the synths kind of reminded me of his voice, like the melodies of like
Right.
an older song, which I'm not too versed in Chicago house. I know enough to know that I like it, but I don't know if there's roots in like using older like samples from older
Yeah.
music. Maybe if that's a thing and that's what he's calling back to, or maybe it's just something that he I don't know. He just likes the sound and he did it for this song. But like I like it. It made me think about like lighting up cigars on an expensive balcony somewhere.
How often have you done that, Joey?
Never, literally never. It's never
Okay,
happened.
so the budget from our show, if we ever start making money, we're gonna buy a balcony somewhere, and we're gonna buy big fancy cigars, and we're gonna go out and smoke and listen to the song.
Yes, except for the fact that I'll at that point probably have not smoked in a very, very, very long
That's
time,
true. I mean,
and
I haven't smoked yet, so
I'll be like, oh god,
it will be an unpleasant experience, but we can take pride in the fact that we made it happen.
yeah,
So
and
maybe it'll be at a hotel somewhere or a very nice mansion if we get super rich somehow, and we'll have our own pool in the back, and we can just hang out and be floating in,
yeah, because I would love to float all the way into track 12.
which is named Floating.
Speaking of floating, this track super wavy. I think
Super wavy.
that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's a very chill song. It's a very calm. There's like some droning calm synths that just kind of build chords slowly over the time, and it alters the chords. It's got the girl in it,
Yeah,
and I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you've heard a lot of Kaskade's music. Every album up to this point, well, I don't know if his first album did, but from like his second to this album have featured the singer Haley, and she's on a lot of his biggest tracks, and she kind of like marks that it's a Kaskade album in my opinion when there's a song on it that has Haley. Granted, his newest one didn't have Haley, and I'm a little bit upset about it, but I'm sure there was a reason, and
maybe.
I'm not gonna complain. I'm just a little bit bitter.
Oh man, okay,
But yeah, it's got Haley. She has a beautiful voice.
she does.
She sings very well, and I love all of the songs that she's ever been on, and presumably all that she ever will if she does more with Kaskade. She also has her solo thing going on, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about Kaskade's music.
Yeah, I definitely made a point because I like her vocals so much. Like I like her voice.
Yeah,
It's
you've heard I Remember with Deadmau5, right?
yeah, okay. So
She's the singer from that as well.
okay. I knew she sounded a little bit familiar, but there was so much layering of
Right.
of her voice on here, which I really like the extreme layered harmonies to where it's almost like Imogen Heap level
Yeah,
of just like blocks of voice, which is a cool effect that I like.
I agree. It's a very calm, chill song about floating. You know,
Yeah,
lyrically, I if the song is again from his experience going on tour and being away, and the prior track was him kind of returning home, then this album seems or the song seems like it's kind of the release of all the stress and the tension that he's built up while he's on tour, and he's kind of just he's able to relax now. He's back at home. He's alone, floating in a pool at night, and just kind of staring up at the stars and enjoying the beauty of the night sky, connecting with nature. And if it is a personal case, which I think it is, he kind of has this supernatural or this connection with God because he's kind of a Mormon. He kind of feels it that way. He
yeah,
says it's the time that I bonded, the time that I prayed, floating on the water, kind of a thing. Which I just like imagining that scene. Just sounds lovely.
Did you say he was a Mormon?
He is.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure I heard that right. Not that it really like matters, but I was just like,
it was kind of out of it. I was just saying because like he mentions that he prayed, and so I wanted to give some context to that. I believe he's Mormon.
Well, awesome. Good for you, Mr. Kaskade.
Mr. Kaskade. That's what he makes everyone call him. All of his employees call him Mr. Kaskade.
Oh my god. But sometimes, Mormon or not, that's just how it is.
It is how it is. Which is track number 13. The final track on this album, How It Is.
So the drum track is something that I really love because it reminds me of other songs that I really like. And it reminds me of water because of a specific other song that I'm not going to name because we're going to listen to it at some point. But it's pretty nuts how similar it is and how much I love it.
Yeah, there's some upbeat but kind of soft drums in the track, and I like it as well. It's another simple, like peaceful piano kind of a deal on this track. There's some strings that come in on the chorus. It's got female vocals that are spacing an area like the rest of the album, which in this case it's Deborah Fotheringham. It's such an American thing to say, Fotheringham. I feel like it's probably like Fotheringham.
I feel like it probably is, but that also sounds weird.
Yeah, so,
like that's too many syllables.
Fotheringham.
That's one Fotheringham. Oh, that's only 4 syllables. I guess I thought that was 5.
Fotheringham. Fotheringham. I don't know. We're not talking about this lady. She has a nice voice.
She does.
There's a nice like synth bass and some other like samply effects that I enjoy in this track. It's a nice calming. It's kind of weird. I feel like track 12 is a good ending point to the album thematically, but this one's kind of tacked on, and it's also pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't wish that the last 2 tracks were flipped, but I do feel like Floating is a better ending track.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like this track. But
yeah, I think maybe lyrically it makes sense to have this one after, because I got this kind of vibe that it was about having a very strong or deep connection to someone and not really being able to explain it, kind of this soulmate vibe, which again, if he's returning home, he's kind of like realizing, man, like while I was out, I really missed my wife. I really missed this life that I've built up with her. And I've had this time to reflect, or maybe even this connection with God, if he was having that connection in the last track, that he's just like, man, like I'm really glad that I have this kind of connection, even though I can't explain it.
Well, I can't explain it either, Mr. Kaskade.
Mr. Kaskade. It's good. What do you think of the album as a whole, Joey? I think I generally understand what you got from it.
I really like the album as a whole. In fact, I like it so much that it kind of kicked me off onto, I don't know, I listened to a whole lot of electronic general music this week.
Right.
And it kind of just the feelings that it gave me, like it's pretty crazy that it took me back to a similar point in time as you, which that kind of was crazy. I mean, I guess since it came out in 2013, maybe that's why. Maybe he just really did a good job of capturing the sound of that time.
Yeah.
But it was a very vivid experience, which was really nice. And
yeah, I'm excited that you had such vivid responses to some of the songs.
It's just always great whenever you can kind of forget that you exist for a little bit, like, and live in another world for a second, just because you like close your eyes and you're listening to a song.
Yeah, you close your eyes, you open them back up, and you're staring at the sky. You're floating in a pool, and it's just everything's calm.
Then you close your eyes and open them again. And you're like, fuck.
back to fucking hell.
I'm back here now.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. I really enjoy this album. I think if you guys haven't listened to this album, you should go listen to it. It's a very, very big, vivid point in my life, and this album is probably going to not lose value to me, at least over time. So I recommend it hand over fist, if that's something that can be recommended as a metaphor.
I recommend that metaphor, and I recommend this album.
Oh, enough about this album though. What are we doing next week, Joey? What are we listening to this week?
This week we're staying in the house. In the house.
We're staying in the house.
We're staying in the house.
We're not allowed to leave our houses.
Yeah, we're staying in the house. I didn't even mean for that to be a thing, but you know what? We're staying in this genre with the artist name is Against All Logic. His real name is Nicholas Jar. I'm honestly not I think they're just intertwined, but it's him. Nicholas Jar is his name. He released the album as Against All Logic, and the album is called 2012 through 2017.
Okay.
And it's just good.
It's an electronic house music.
That's all
you're giving us.
Yeah. And I mean, other than I like it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, obviously, if you're recommending it, I'd hope you liked it.
One of these weeks, I'm going to recommend an album I hate, actually.
Well, that is also good for conversation, I guess.
Maybe I'll recommend an album that I feel nothing towards.
I feel like that would be horribly boring, but go for it. We can try it out. But yeah. until that point, if you guys want to talk to us about this Kaskade album, how it affected you, if you have similar experiences, since we both have kind of specific associations to the year of 2013 and the time that this album came out, kind of a deal, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Shoot us messages. We're still on Amazon Podcasts, I hope. I hope they haven't removed us for any reason. So that's the newest adventure. We're also looking into getting some other ones going, like Podbean. I think we're also technically on there now. I need to check up with that. I need to be more on top of that in the future. But yeah, just fucking anywhere you find podcasts that you want to listen to us, do it.
Yeah. Find it and we'll be there maybe. But probably.
Yeah. If we're not, let us know and then we will be there at some point. Because that's how you run a business or something. Like you go where the people are. This is the business, even though we don't make any money. I don't fucking know, man. Stay in our feedback loop.
Bye.